I still remember the first time his hand touched my waist. It was firm, steady, and professional, or at least that's what it was supposed to be. "There's a step behind you," he said in that calm voice of his as he guided me away from the edge. His palm rested lightly against my side for just a second, but my whole body reacted as if he had done something far more intimate. Maybe it was because no one had touched me so carefully in a long time. Maybe it was because of the way his eyes stayed on mine, serious and unreadable. Or maybe it was because from the moment I met him, I noticed everything about him. The quiet confidence, the broad shoulders, the way he seemed to notice every movement in the room, and the fact that no matter how composed he looked, being near him made me lose mine. His name was Daniel, and he was hired to protect me. I never expected he would become the one person who made me feel the most vulnerable. It all started after my father insisted I needed private security. "You've been getting too much public attention lately," he told me over breakfast, sliding a newspaper across the table. My photo was on the front page again. I sighed. "Dad, I don't need a bodyguard." "Yes, you do." "No, I don't." He gave me the look that ended arguments before they started. The next morning, Daniel was standing outside my apartment door. He was taller than I expected, dressed in dark clothes, his expression calm and distant. "Good morning," he said. I folded my arms. "So you're the babysitter." One corner of his mouth moved, not quite a smile. "I prefer Bodyguard. I prefer privacy." "That's unfortunate for both of us." I should have disliked him. He was always there, always watching, always close enough to make me aware of his presence. At first, I tried to ignore him. When I went to meetings, he stood outside. When I went to dinner, he sat nearby. When I walked through crowds, he stayed close enough that sometimes our arms brushed. Every touch felt accidental. Every accidental touch felt unforgettable. One evening after a work event, I walked out into the cold air and wrapped my arms around myself. Daniel opened the car door for me. "You should have brought a coat," he said. I had one. "Then where is it?" "Inside." He gave me that familiar, unreadable look, then took off his jacket and placed it around my shoulders. The warmth of it, and the faint scent of him, made my breath catch. "I'm fine," I said quietly. "You're cold." His fingers adjusted the jacket collar near my neck. The movement was simple, professional, but standing that close to him made my heart beat too fast. "Thank you," I whispered. He stepped back immediately. "Get in the car." I told myself the tension I felt was one-sided, that he was simply doing his job, that the way he looked at me meant nothing. But then came the night everything shifted. We were leaving a charity gala when photographers crowded too close. Lights flashed in my face, voices shouted my name. Before panic could settle in, Daniel moved beside me, one arm protectively around my waist, guiding me through the crowd. "Stay with me," he said near my ear. I nodded. My hand instinctively gripped the front of his jacket. His body shielded mine from the chaos around us. Even with the noise, all I could focus on was the feel of his hand at my side. Strong, warm, steady. By the time we reached the car, I was breathless. He opened the door, but I didn't move. He noticed. "Are you all right?" I looked up at him. "Yes." But my voice sounded strange. He waited. "Thank you," I said. "You already said that." "This time I mean more than the jacket." For the first time, his expression softened. "You don't need to thank me for doing my job." Maybe I should have let the moment end there. Instead, I asked, "And if I'm thanking you for more than that?" His jaw tightened. "That would be a bad idea." "Why?" "Because I work for you. And boundaries matter." I stared at him. He looked away first. That was when I realized he felt it too. That realization changed everything. After that night, every moment between us carried a new kind of awareness. The silence between us felt charged. When he handed me my phone and our fingers touched, neither of us moved right away. When he stood close in elevators, I could feel the warmth radiating from him. When he said my name, it sounded softer than before. Neither of us spoke about it again, but the tension kept building. One rainy evening, the power went out in my apartment building. The lights flickered and disappeared. I let out a startled breath. A second later, Daniel's voice came from the doorway. "It's all right." Lightning flashed outside, briefly illuminating the room. Then darkness again. I hated storms. He must have noticed because he stepped closer. "Do you have candles?" "In the kitchen." "I'll get them." A few minutes later, soft candlelight filled the room. The apartment felt smaller, quieter, more intimate. I sat on the couch while rain hit the windows. Daniel stood near the window, alert as always. "You don't have to stand the whole time," I said. "I'm fine. You're making me nervous." He looked at me. "I make you nervous?" "Yes." A small pause. "Why?" "Because you make me feel things I shouldn't. Because every time you touch me, I think about it for hours. Because I wanted him closer. Instead, I said, because you're staring." He stepped away from the window and sat in the chair across from me. "Better?" "No." One of his brows lifted. "You're impossible." "Maybe." The thunder outside grew louder. Without thinking, I flinched. Daniel noticed instantly. "You're scared." "No, I'm not." Another loud crack of thunder made me jump again. Then without a word, he moved to sit beside me, close, not touching, but close enough that my pulse quickened. "You can relax," he said quietly. Easy for him to say. The couch cushion dipped as he shifted slightly toward me. My hand rested near his, just inches apart. Then another thunderclap sounded, and instinct took over. I grabbed his hand. The moment my fingers wrapped around his, everything went still. Neither of us moved. I should have let go. I didn't. His hand turned slightly beneath mine until he was holding my hand back. The touch was gentle, but it sent warmth through my entire body. "Still scared?" he asked softly. I looked at our hands. "Yes," I whispered. But I wasn't talking about the storm. His thumb brushed lightly across my knuckles. One small movement, enough to make my breathing uneven. "Daniel." He said my name so quietly it almost disappeared beneath the rain. Then he turned toward me. The candlelight softened the sharp lines of his face. His eyes searched mine as if waiting for permission. I could feel the space between us shrinking. "Tell me to stop," he said. I didn't. His free hand rose slowly, gently brushing a strand of hair behind my ear. The touch was tender, far more intimate than anything else had been. Every nerve in my body seemed awake. "You should stop," I whispered, but neither of us moved away. "That's not what you want." "No." It was barely a breath. His hand cupped my cheek, warm, careful, as if he was holding something fragile. Then he leaned closer. I could feel his breath. My heart pounded so hard I was sure he could hear it. And when his lips finally touched mine, the kiss was soft and slow, like he was afraid of crossing a line that had already disappeared. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't desperate. It was careful, full of everything we had both been holding back. I moved closer, my fingers tightening around his hand. His other arm wrapped gently around me, drawing me nearer until I could rest against him. The storm outside faded. The only thing that mattered was the warmth between us. When the kiss ended, neither of us moved far. His forehead rested lightly against mine. "We shouldn't have done that," he murmured. "Do you regret it?" He looked at me for a long moment. "No." "Then maybe we should stop saying what we shouldn't do." A quiet laugh escaped him. Then he pulled me into his arms. I rested my head against his chest, listening to his heartbeat. For the first time in months, I felt completely safe. Not because he was my bodyguard, but because being held by him felt like coming home. The next morning, nothing was simple anymore. But everything was honest. No more pretending. No more pretending his touch meant nothing. No more pretending the way he looked at me didn't matter. He was still the man hired to protect me. But now, when his hand found mine, it wasn't duty. It was choice. And when he looked at me, it wasn't distant professionalism. It was tenderness. The kind that changes everything. People say danger brings clarity. Maybe that's true. Because in the middle of all the rules and complications, one thing became certain. The man who was hired to keep his distance had become the one person I wanted closest. And every time he held me after that, I knew one thing for sure. I had never felt safer than in the arms of the man who was never supposed to be mine.